I'm Rachel.
I'm Connor.
I'm Jasmine.
I'm Jacob. And I'm Kristen.
And we are Wayne's World Amazing Race Edition. Here's our pitch board, and it's kind of interactive with the rationale, so I'd like to have you guys look at it closer if you'd like.
But before we continue, we'll show you our group animation. Now, it does take a second to load. We were having some troubles with it downstairs. And you have to run the Flash player.
You tell me how to do that. We're going to do that if you want. Jacob.
Oh,
They were not evaluating. No, I'm not a good technology guy. That's what Josh is really good at it, so.
now back to the presentation.
Okay, so who is exactly coming?
For our choice, we decided to go with something different. We're going with a recently released convict and anybody who's willing. We did this, we chose this because we wanted to have a little bit of a social commentary on, can we just let these recently released convicts just back into society and into this challenging race that many people have failed to complete with a price below $1 million. And now it won't be people who were charged of murder and other gruesome crimes, not just that, but more petty crimes such as theft under $1,000 and grand theft auto.
How long does contestants get around?
So throughout most of the race, the contestants will have a lot of freedom going from one challenge to another, but as much as we would like to see them try to swim across the Atlantic Ocean, they will be flying from one leg to another.
Okay, so for our first leg, we have the Allen County Courthouse, and I chose this because usually when you think of Fort Wayne, you don't think of the courthouse first, so it makes it like different from all the others. So for our physical detour, challengers must polish a portion of the floor, and if still dirty, they must restart. And then for our mental detour, challengers must take a list of 10 different previous mayors and list them from youngest to oldest.
For our second leg and our second Fort Wayne location, I chose the Fort Wayne Children's Zoo. I chose this personally because I have been volunteering there for 2 years, and I believe that it is a unique place in Fort Wayne that every family should come and experience at least once when they're here. For our physical detour, challengers will make food, a meal, for 8 different animals in the zoo. And for our mental detour, challengers will have to tell 5 facts about 10 different animals to kids. There, of course, will be a zookeeper there to verify those facts. Then for our third leg, we will be traveling over to Siam Park in Tenerife in the Canary Islands. I chose this place personally again because I have gone there twice, and each ride has its own unique decorations that allow you to get fully immersed in the theme of that ride. And every year they add a new ride, so there's always something fresh and new to do. We decided to use a roadblock on this one. Challengers will go around the park and ride every single one of the rides. Once they are done, they will go to a table with a map on it that's completely unlabeled. They will label all of the rides, and if they cannot remember, that is okay. They are allowed to go back to find out what the name is, but they have to write it again, costing them time.
Our fourth location is Bitburg, Germany. I chose this because it connects me personally, being my family lived there for 5 years. Other than that, it connects culturally because they have this famous beer, Bitburger, and in Fort Wayne they have a lot of breweries. For the mental task, they will make the Bitburg beer using the ingredients and instructions. For the physical task, they will be having a 2v2 match in an ice skating rink popular in Denver.
So for our fifth leg, I picked the Pride Castle, and I picked this because usually, like, you like to see like a nice view, and this has a very nice view over the top. So our physical detour challenges will remake a witch burning trial, and then for the mental detour challenges, will find the ingredients to make a traditional food in Prague called fried cheese.
So our next leg will take place in Istanbul, Turkey, and although it is around on the other side of the world, its climate is very, very similar to Fort Wayne's climate. Our winters and summers are pretty much the same, but it does get colder in the winter in Istanbul. So for our physical detour, contestants will have to recreate a weird but well-known Turkish dish that is called stuffed intestines. And for the mental challenge, they will have to go to the Grand Bazaar and figure out the history of it, and they are only allowed a few amount of hints.
For our next location, we are going to Cairo, Egypt. I chose Cairo, Egypt because the Nile River is located throughout it. And many centuries ago, the Nile River was used for a lot of trade throughout Egypt, as well as in Fort Wayne, the Maumee, St. Joe, and St. Mary's rivers. For the physical challenge, they must kayak across the Nile River. I chose kayaking because it's a little bit easier than canoeing. And then for our mental challenge, they will walk up a portion of the river where on the sides they'll list measurements for them to figure out the amount of water that fills the Nile River. For our next location, I chose Takeoka, Japan. I chose this because it is one of Fort Wayne's sister cities, and many government officials have worked together in Fort Wayne and Japan. For this one, I used a roadblock, and what they will do is they will get a demonstration from a metal caster, and they must learn how to make a sake cup. And if they mess up, they have to restart because you can't just fix it.
And for our ninth leg, we'll be going to An Nam, Vietnam, or to be more specific, the My Son Sanctuary. We chose this location because it's a perfect example of what a richer, more religious cultural heritage is, because Fort Wayne has always been known as the city of churches, and this is just a bit more of an insight. Now for the physical detour, contestants will have to participate in an all-female dance. So yes, even if they are male, they will still have to participate. And they must do it successfully. For the mental detour, contestants will have to pretend to be actual tourist guides, in which after their one stop, they will have to get at least 3 tourists to say they seemed like real tourist guides. And for our 10th leg, we'll be going to Port Belawan in Indonesia. We chose this location because everybody who's ever lived in Fort Wayne can remember a time where certain houses have turned into riverfront property. The same can be said for Port Belawan and the Java Strait. Now here for our physical detour, contestants will be given a handful of shipping container IDs, which they will then have to track down and locate which one has the pit stop in it. Meaning that there is a chance for contestants to be able to get this on the first try. Now for our mental detour, contestants will have to do much of the same, however they will have to backtrack which container went to which ship, which the pit stop will then be. And for our 11th leg, we will be going to the Wilson Field Air Force Base. We chose this location because it's a great connection to our 122nd here in Fort Wayne. And something that not everybody brings up when you speak of Fort Wayne, but it's a very important part of it. Now here we use our last roadblock where contestants will have to be put through and go through a 3D flight simulator, which will be turning them upside down in whatever movement they use while in the simulator, which will then have to down 5 aircraft before they continue.
So for leg 12, I chose the Kego Hill in Rambon, Botswana. And I chose this because it is an old historical landmark of the earth. So then we have our physical detour. So contestants must find 10 bugs and take a picture of each of them in under 30 minutes. And if they cannot complete that task, they must find a bug that they previously took a picture of, and they must consume that bug. So, mental detour, contestants must guess like an estimate of how many steps it would take to get to the top of the hill. But if they fail, they must come back down, and they must go like they must re-estimate how many steps it would take to get back up on the top.
For leg 13, we will be traveling to Parque Nacional El Villa and Caracas in Venezuela. I chose this personally because my mother was born and raised in Venezuela, and specifically in the Caracas. So for our physical detour, I decided that challenge will have to take a cable car up to one of the peaks of a mountain, and we'll take 25 unique photos of 25 different animals. And then for our mental detour, challengers will have to learn how to dance the merengue, which is a native dance to Venezuela.
For the next leg, it will be in Atoyac, Mexico. So this place was chosen by me because both of my parents are from Mexico, and my mom in particular is from Atoyac, Jalisco, Mexico. And so for the physical challenge, contestants will have to choose a traditional Mexican dance, learn it, and perform it along with the mariachi band in the background. And for the mental, they will once again choose a traditional Mexican dance, but they will have to explain the history behind it and why it is what it is. And for the next one, it is Promenade Park. So Promenade Park is a great example of how Fort Wayne is like growing from, like Fort Wayne has been around a really long time, and it's still continuing to grow, and it's bringing new attractions that could interest people of all ages. And for our physical detour, people will have to canoe down the river, and for the mental detour, contestants will create an escape room that was also created by New Tech students.
And for our final leg, we'll be going to the famous 816 Pint and Slice. Pint and Slice is a perfect example of how much pride people take in Fort Wayne. It was founded in 2007 by a Fort Wayne family, and it's still currently run by the same Fort Wayne family. Here, for the physical detour, contestants will have to make their own pizza. However, if any other contestants come in while they're making the pizza, it's then a race against time. Now, for the mental detour, contestants will be sat down and blindfolded and will be given a slice of pizza with a mysterious ingredient in it. If they guess wrong, they will be given a new slice of pizza and will have to guess the new ingredient. Any questions?